Let's talk a little bit about leash handling skills for the intermediate class. So some of the exercises take a little bit more skill than the novice ones, and we're going to cover those. At the start line, you want to make sure that the leash is on the right side of the dog's neck. If you have it on the left side, first of all, you don't have the full leash. But worse, it's going to interfere with the dog. It's going to get in his face. As you do turns, it may hit him, and it's certainly going to be a distraction. Even if you hold it out of the way, it's flopping around in front of his eyes. If you keep the leash on the left, where it hangs down, your loose leash is going to be between you and the dog. It's not in the way of the dog looking at you. It's not going to hit the dog in the face. Some of the advanced exercises, which will be in the intermediate class, are going to require the dog to circle around you, move in front of you, or do a finish. So for those, you need to make sure that you have the leash out of the dog's face, not so long that the dog is going to step over it. A couple of the exercises have the handler moving away from the dog and the dog waiting in a stay, and then you'll call the dog to heel. For those, you want to make sure that the leash is not going to hit the dog in the face or get tangled in the dog's legs. And you also want to have enough leash so that you can do your part of the exercise without taking really skimpy steps, which might lose you points. Let's try exercise 104. Heel, sit. Good boy, stay. Good, stay. You want to reward the dog in the stay position so the dog is not tempted to come to you. Once they know this exercise, a lot of dogs will break their stays. Stay. Leave the leash loose so the dog is not tempted to break the stay because there is tension on the leash. Good, stay, sweetie. Sit. Good boy, stay. Dusty, heel. Good, sit. Yes. Let's try the side step right. Leave enough slack in the leash so the dog doesn't get pulled along. Not so much that the dog is going to step over the leash. You ready? Dusty. Rest. Heel. Good. Sit. Very nice. Good job. Next, let's try the advanced call fronts. So if you're cueing the dog with the left hand, you want to hold the leash in the right. If you hold it in the left and the dog moves forward, the dog is moving right into the leash. And I don't think that's fair to the dog. Are you ready? Ready? Dusty, go. Touch. Come front. Sit. Good boy. Around. Heel. Sit. Very nice, honey. Exercise 118, you're also going to be leaving the dog. Sit. Wait. Okay. So again, after you take your 2 steps, if you want to reinforce the dog, come back and do it. Don't reinforce when you've called the dog. That's kind of a no-brainer, and it's going to teach the dog to anticipate that you're going to call because that was more rewarding than staying. Wait. Heel. Let's go. Let's try some of the position changes. These are actually similar to what you do in the novice, but novice you're just going to have sit to a down, and in advanced you're also going to have a stand. You're going to have a sit down to a sit again. Very good, down. Good boy. So while he's down, let's do a sit from there. Now the leash is nice and loose. I'm going to hold it in the right hand because I'm cueing with my left hand. Dusty, sit. Yes. Good boy. Good. And I'm also going to cue the stand with my left hand. Ready? Pose. Yes. The walk around for this halt stand walk around is the same as you would do for your walk arounds in novice. Stay. So watch what I'm going to do with the leash. If I put it back here, stay, honey. I'm actually going to come right back to it. Stay. Yes. If I try to move it around to here, stay. I have to move it back around. So leaving it there and just using your hand as the pivot point works out really well. Excellent. (119) and 120 are the exercises where the dog circles around the handler to the right, while the handler does either a right turn or a left turn and moves along. A good exercise to practice for these turns is keeping the leash low, and you want to make sure that if you have a loop in the leash, which most of us will have on a 6-foot leash, that as the dog comes around, we don't smack the dog in the face. So keep your hands low, not so low that the dog's going to step over it, and keep your hands close to your body. Ready? Around. Good boy. Around. Heel. Nice job. Good boy. If you're working with a small dog, it's the same thing. You want to make sure that the leash is loose enough so it doesn't go tight and you lose points, but that it's not on the floor for the dog to step over. It takes a little more finesse to do this with a smaller dog because you don't have as much leeway between the neck and the floor. With the big dogs, it's not so difficult. Keep the leash in your left hand, so when you step to the right, if the dog isn't right with you, you can put your left hand out and still retain the loose leash. If you use your right hand, even though there's more leash, you don't have as much control over it. So, say my dog is lagging and I'm stepping to the right and stepping to the right, I have to let this out. But I only have this much leverage. Not only that, I'm probably going to turn to face the dog, which isn't what you want because your dog will probably turn to face you. If I have it in the left hand and my dog isn't coming, I've got plenty of arm to leave the leash loose. So we're going to try this as a side pass from stationary position, and that's a good way to practice it. Now, notice how I have the leash dangling here. Guess what? As I move to the side, that is likely to hit the dog. So, loop your thumb through the leash, hold on to it with your fist, and then make a second loop, which if you need the space, you can always drop. Good. Rest, heel. Yes.